March 2024, St. Lucia, Lynn, 23 years old, a computer prodigy, is preparing to give a course on cybersecurity to the local police. What he does not know is that the FBI is about to arrest him, because Lynn has a secret. 4 years earlier, in a small apartment in Taipei, Lynn was launching Incognito Market. What was once just an ambitious project became the largest drug market on the dark web, handling millions of dollars every month. Under the alias Pharaoh, Lynn ruled this empire with an iron fist, defying authorities worldwide, but a series of mistakes will lead to his downfall. How did this young prodigy go from a brilliant student to one of the most wanted drug lords in the world? March 2020, Taipei, Taiwan. In a small apartment in the Xinyi district, Lin, 19 years old, is sitting in front of his computer, eyes fixed on the screen. The bluish light illuminates his face. A diagram takes shape. Keywords appear: sellers, buyers, product listing, servers. At first glance, one might think it's a draft of a classic e-commerce startup, but Lin is not designing the next unicorn of Silicon Valley. Oh no, what he's drawing is the plan for a dark web marketplace, a digital black market where drugs can be bought and sold discreetly. Lin smiles. He's just named his project Incognito Market, a nod to Google Chrome's private browsing mode. Lin isn't naive. He knows what he's about to do is illegal, even dangerous. But the adrenaline pumping through his veins at the thought of defying the system is stronger than fear. And then there's the money. Millions of potential dollars just waiting to be seized. After all, he thought, if I don't do it, someone else will. This reasoning, as fragile as it may be, is enough to ease his conscience, at least for now. Lin finishes his diagram, and without thinking, sends it to his personal Gmail address. A mistake that will go unnoticed for years, but will eventually haunt him. Weeks pass. Lin dives into the depths of the dark web, meticulously studying the workings of legendary marketplaces like Silk Road and Alphabet. He analyzes their strengths, their weaknesses, their fatal mistakes. Every detail is carefully noted, each lesson learned. I will not make the same mistakes again, he promises himself. A crucial decision must be made. What will be Incognito's offer? Lin hesitates. Selling everything like his predecessors did attracts too much attention? No, he needs to specialize. He opts for a marketplace centered on drugs and anonymity. A choice that, he hopes, will allow him to fly under the authorities' radar while capturing a lucrative market. November 2020, the big day has arrived. Lin, who has now adopted the pseudonym Pharaoh, logs into the Dread Forum, the hub of the dark web community. His hands tremble slightly as he creates a new subreddit called Incognito Market. He writes 2 foundational posts detailing the market rules and explaining his philosophy, making drug purchasing safer than on the street. A bold, almost noble promise that hides the raw reality of his criminal enterprise. Then, in a theatrical move, he deletes the account that created the subreddit. This bluff aims to intrigue the community, to create a mystery around Incognito. And it works. Within a few hours, the rumors are flying. Who is behind this new market? Can they be trusted? Lin watches, pleased at the buzz he has created. That's when he steps onto the stage under his real pseudonym, Incognito Official. He answers questions, dispels doubts, and asserts his authority. His promise is clear. Users will buy drugs and disappear. Sorry for this brief interruption, but I'd like to take a moment to talk about the video sponsor, CyberGhost VPN. CyberGhost VPN is a very simple solution to protect your online data and secure your browsing. It neither collects nor shares your data, so your privacy remains in your hands. Plus, it's perfect for unlocking geo-restricted content, whether it's videos, websites, or even streaming platforms like Netflix or Amazon Prime. With CyberGhost VPN, you can finally access everything you pay for, no matter where you are. And if you're interested, they offer 83% off and 4 months free through the link in the description. It comes to €2.03 per month, with 45 days to get your money back if it doesn't suit you. Honestly, it's worth a try. Thanks to CyberGhost VPN for their support. And now, let's get back to the video. No tracking. This statement resonates like a manifesto in the dark web community. It embodies everything users seek: freedom, anonymity, security. Lin knows it and is playing this card perfectly. The days go by, and Incognito starts to take shape. Lin works tirelessly, perfecting every detail of the website. The interface is meant to be simple, intuitive, almost elegant. A striking contrast with the sordid nature of the transactions that will take place there. But Lin does not stop at creating a mere website. He establishes an entire ecosystem, a cryptocurrency payment system, an escrow service to secure transactions, and a vendor rating service. Each element is designed to maximize user trust and minimize risks. Trust is key, Lin repeats like a mantra. And he's right. In the opaque world of the dark web, trust is a rare and valuable commodity. It's what will make the difference between success and failure. To earn this trust, Lin takes a proactive approach. He is omnipresent on the Dread Forum, answering questions, seeking feedback, implementing updates almost every month. This responsiveness is appreciated by the community, who see him as a dedicated and attentive administrator. But Lin goes further. He sets up a particularly effective dispute management system. Each complaint is handled seriously, each problem resolved fairly. This approach quickly earns him a reputation for reliability. One incident in particular leaves a mark. A seller, known as WSB, offers substances at unrealistic prices. The community quickly notices, disapproves of his promotional post, and warns against his history of fraud on other markets. Despite the warnings, WSB continues to operate. Complaints pile up. That's when Lin takes action. He examines WSB's account and bans it. WSB tries to complain on Dread, but he is quickly held accountable. More than 50 undelivered orders, 30 ongoing disputes, a negative score of nearly 300 points. The community applauds Lin's decision. This episode solidifies Incognito's reputation. The message is clear. Scammers are not welcome here. It's a serious, reliable market where the rules are respected. Meanwhile, the landscape of the dark web is changing. Competing marketplaces like Dark Code or Reborn and White House disappear, victims of their own mistakes or law enforcement actions. Incognito, however, continues to rise. Lin watches this evolution with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. On one hand, the disappearance of his competitors gives him a clear path. On the other hand, he knows that the bigger Incognito gets, the more attention it attracts. And attention in this world can be deadly. But Lin is confident. He has learned from the mistakes of those before him. His system is solid, his anonymity preserved. At least that's what he believes. These actions have already attracted the attention of a force far more formidable than his dark web competitors. A force that, in the shadows, is beginning to spin its web around him. On April 5th, 2022, news shakes the world of the dark web. Hydra Market, the largest illegal market in the world, is shut down by the German and American authorities. It's a thunderbolt in the community. Line, sitting in front of his screen, reads and rereads the announcement. With a beating heart, Hydra was a giant, a behemoth that seemed untouchable. Its fall proves that no one is safe. But amidst the anxiety, Lin sees an opportunity. Hydra leaves behind a massive void. Thousands of sellers and buyers find themselves without a platform, and Incognito is there, ready to welcome them. The weeks that follow are hectic. The influx of new users is so great that Line has to work day and night to maintain the site's infrastructure. But the results are there. In the space of 2 months, the monthly value of transactions on Incognito goes from $700,000 to $2 million. Lin is elated. His dream is coming true, and his empire is expanding. Money is flowing in, much more than he ever dared to hope for. At only 21 years old, he is leading one of the largest criminal enterprises in the digital world. But the euphoria blinds him. He does not see the warning signs of the approaching danger. He doesn't know that, the very day after Hydra's downfall, the FBI launched an investigation into Incognito. The agent in charge of this investigation is Mark Rubin, a veteran in the fight against cybercrime. To start, he places a test order on Incognito, 5 grams of drugs. 6 days later, a package arrives at the designated address. The content matches the order exactly. Rubin notes in his report, substance purchased for $170 in Bitcoin. Drug test confirms authenticity. This confirmation officially opens the hunt. Incognito is now a legitimate target for the FBI. Rubin and his team have only 2 elements to start the investigation. The Bitcoin address used for the drug purchase is the Dread account of Farion. It's not much, but it's a start. What Link doesn't know is that each of his actions, every transaction, every message posted on Dread, is now being watched by expert eyes. The hunt has begun. May 2022, Taipei, Taiwan. Line wakes up with a start, body covered in sweat. His phone vibrates on the nightstand. It is 3 a.m. Another alert, he thinks, grimacing. Since the fall of Hydra Market, Incognito is growing at a dizzying speed. New users are flocking by the thousands, fleeing the void left by the fallen giant. It's certainly a bargain, but also a colossal technical challenge. Line gets up, turns on his computer. He quickly scans the server logs. A new wave of registrations to overwhelm the system. We need to increase capacity, and quickly. While working, Lin pondered, this exponential growth is exciting, but also terrifying. The bigger Incognito grows, the more it becomes a prime target for the authorities. It's the price of success, he whispers to reassure himself. Over the weeks, Incognito transforms. What was once a small niche market quickly becomes one of the strongholds of the dark web. The numbers are staggering. In just 2 months, the monthly transaction value goes from $700,000 to $2 million. Lin, under his pseudonym of Pharaoh, doubles his efforts to maintain service quality. He hires new moderators, improves security systems, and optimizes transaction processes. One evening in June, while checking the site's statistics, Lin suddenly realizes the magnitude of what he has created. If transactions reach $2 million per month, it means that Incognito generates at least $100,000 in monthly profits. At 21 years old, Lin is at the head of a company that moves millions. The contrast between his everyday life as an ordinary young Taiwanese and his digital alter ego as a drug baron hits him hard. But with success come complications. Managing Incognito is becoming more and more complex. Line has to juggle between technical development, community management, and site security. Every decision can have dramatic consequences. One incident in particular marks a turning point. A popular seller, known as Dragonfire, is accused of selling adulterated products. Complaints are piling up, tension is rising on the forums. Lin knows he must act fast to preserve Incognito's reputation. After a thorough investigation, he makes a radical decision. Ban Dragonfire and seize his funds to reimburse the customers. It's a hard blow for the seller, but a strong message sent to the community. Incognito does not tolerate cheating. This decision is praised by the users. On Dread, comments pour in, Pharaoh is a true leader. Finally, a market that takes responsibility. That's why I trust Incognito. Lin reads his messages with a mix of pride and irony. He has become a kind of hero to these people, even as he facilitates illegal and potentially dangerous trade. But he doesn't have time to dwell on these ethical considerations. The world of the dark web is evolving rapidly, and Incognito must constantly adapt. In July, Lin launches a new feature, a multi-sig system for transactions. The multi-sig works like a digital safe that can only be opened with multiple keys. This means that a transaction can only be validated if all parties involved, like the buyer and the seller, agree. This innovation allows buyers and sellers to share control of the funds, reducing the risk of fraud. It's an instant hit that further strengthens Incognito's position in the market. August is coming, and with it, another heat wave hits Taipei. Lin spends her days locked in her air-conditioned apartment, eyes glued to her screen. He sleeps little, eats poorly, and lives according to the rhythm of transactions and website updates. His body is beginning to feel the effects of this hectic pace, with frequent migraines, back pain, and chronic fatigue. But Lin ignores these warning signs. He is carried away by the adrenaline of success and the excitement of seeing his empire grow day by day. One morning, as he checks the latest site statistics, Lin is feeling dizzy for a moment. The numbers running across his screen seem unreal. Incognito is now the third largest market on the dark web, right behind giants that have been established for years. How did I get here? He wonders, torn between euphoria and disbelief. The answer, he knows, lies in a combination of factors: the perfect timing of its launch, the timely fall of Hydra, his strict management of the site, and a good dose of luck. But deep down, Lin also knows that this rapid rise can't last forever. September brings its share of new challenges. Rumors start circulating on Dredge about a large-scale operation by the authorities targeting dark web markets. Lin becomes more vigilant, further strengthening Incognito's security measures. He sets up a system of rotating Bitcoin addresses for each transaction, making it harder to trace funds. He also improves the encryption process for messages between users, making interception nearly impossible. But despite all these precautions, Lin can't shake the feeling of a looming threat over his empire. Every day, when logging in Incognito, he wonders if it will be the last, if today will be the day everything collapses. This growing paranoia is starting to affect his daily life. He is becoming suspicious. Avoid social interactions. Change your routine regularly. His family and few friends worry about his isolation, but he reassures them with vague excuses about a demanding work project. October is coming, and with it, a new milestone in Incognito's growth. The site has surpassed 250,000 registered users. This critical mass firmly places Incognito in the big leagues. Lee celebrates this milestone by treating himself to a small gift, a luxury watch, purchased with Bitcoin, of course. This is his first significant purchase since the launch of Incognito, a tangible way to materialize his success. But as he admires the reflection of his new acquisition in the shop window, Lee briefly sees a figure that seems to be following him. His heart races. Is it his imagination playing tricks on him, or is he really being watched? He speeds up, turns the corner of one street, then another. When he finally turns around, the figure has disappeared. Lin takes a deep breath, trying to calm down. But doubt has settled in. Back home, Lin spends hours checking and rechecking all of Incognito's security systems. He scrutinizes the logs, analyzes recent transactions, looking for any sign of an intrusion or a leak. Everything seems normal, and yet Lin can't shake off this feeling of imminent danger. It's as if her sixth sense, honed by months of constant vigilance, is screaming that something is wrong. That night, he barely sleeps, haunted by nightmares where he sees himself being hunted, arrested, and thrown in prison. By early morning, with dark circles under his eyes and a foggy mind, he makes a decision. It's time to implement an emergency plan. In the following days, Lin works tirelessly on what he calls the Nefertiti Protocol, in reference to the Egyptian queen, wife of his alter ego, Pharaoh. This protocol is designed to erase all traces of Incognito in case of an imminent threat. He creates automated scripts that, on his command, will instantly erase all data from the servers, redistribute funds to users, and make Incognito disappear. It's his safety net, his way out. November is coming, and with it, a new wave of growth for Incognito. The site is now reaching $3 million in monthly transactions. Lin should be euphoric, but this success only heightens his anxiety. The higher we climb, the harder the fall will be, he repeats to himself like a mantra. It is then that an unexpected event comes to shake things up. A major competitor of Incognito, known as Black Swan's Market, is suddenly shut down by the authorities. Rumors are flying on Dread. A joint operation by the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Europol is reportedly underway, targeting the main dark web marketplaces. This news causes a shockwave in the community. Users, in panic, rush to the remaining markets, including Incognito. Within a few days, the volume of transactions on the site doubles. Lin finds herself facing a tough dilemma. On one hand, this sudden influx is a golden opportunity to solidify Incognito's position as a market leader. On the other hand, it significantly increases the risk of attracting the authorities' attention. After hours of intense reflection, Lin decides to seize the opportunity. He implements new security measures, strengthens the servers to handle the influx of traffic, and even launches a promotional campaign to attract even more sellers. It's a risky bet, but Lin feels it's time to make a big move. If I'm going to fall, it might as well be from the top, he thinks. The following weeks will be significant for the platform. Incognito is growing at an incredible speed, surpassing even Lin's most optimistic projections. The site quickly becomes the largest market on the dark web, even overshadowing the historical giants of the sector. But with this explosive growth come new challenges. Managing thousands of daily transactions becomes a logistical headache. Fraud attempts are multiplying, forcing Lin to constantly strengthen his verification systems. Despite the exhaustion, Lee feels a sense of exhilaration. He has created something immense, bigger than himself. Incognito is no longer just a website. It has become a dark web institution, a name that inspires respect and fear. As the year 2022 comes to an end, Lin allows himself a rare moment of satisfaction. He has survived a tumultuous year, seeing his creation thrive beyond his wildest dreams. For the first time in months, he allows himself to think that maybe, just maybe, he will make it. What he doesn't know is that in the FBI offices in Washington, Agent Mark Rubin and his team are closing in. They've spent months gathering evidence, following leads, and analyzing every transaction of Incognito, and they are about to make a discovery that will change everything. But for now, in his Taipei apartment, Lin is savoring his success. Unaware of the danger looming on the horizon, he is at the top of his game, the master of a digital empire that defies imagination. How long can he maintain this position? The year 2023 promises to be decisive for Incognito and its mysterious creator. One thing is certain, nothing will ever be the same again. January 2023, Washington, D.C., United States. In a plain office at the FBI headquarters, Agent Mark Rubin intensely stares at a whiteboard covered with notes, photos, and complex diagrams. In the center, a name stands out: Incognito Market. Rubin rubs his eyes, tired but determined. For months, his team has been tracking this dark web black market, which has quickly become the largest of its kind. Until now, Incognito seemed elusive. Its administrators were almost paranoiacally cautious. But Rubin knows that even the most meticulous criminals eventually make mistakes, and he is about to discover that the mysterious pharaoh is no exception to this rule. "Boss, you should see this," suddenly says a young analyst, breaking the silence in the room. Rubin approaches the computer screen. What he sees brings a smile to his tired face. It's the start of a solid lead, the first crack in Incognito's armor. One evening in May, while checking the latest transactions on the site, Lin notices something unusual. A cryptocurrency swap service refused a large Bitcoin transfer, claiming the funds came from criminal activities. Frustrated and worried, Lee does the unthinkable. He publicly complains on the raid forum. In his message, he mentions the exact time of the transaction and the precise amount of Bitcoin sent. What he doesn't know is that Rubin's team constantly monitors the forum. Within a few hours, they isolate the transaction in question and start tracing it back. This mistake by Lee opens a breach in the complex system he set up to launder Incognito's money. The investigations identify what they call Admin Wallet 1, a wallet that directly receives the site's profits. But this is just the beginning. Lin, in his growing carelessness, makes another monumental mistake. For an unexplained reason, he uses Admin Wallet 1 to partially pay for 4 domains on the Namecheap site. 3 of these domains are related to the promotion of the dark web marketplace, but the 4th, which the investigation documents do not name, is probably a personal website containing information about the owner. Investigators are stunned by this discovery. How can the mastermind behind one of the biggest criminal operations on the web make such a basic mistake? The answer is simple. Lin, intoxicated by his success, began to believe he was untouchable. The FBI quickly follows the trail. They discovered that 3 of the domains were mainly purchased by an account registered on a cryptocurrency exchange following the Know Your Customer (KYC) rules. The 4th domain, however, was paid for both by this KYC account and by Admin Wallet 1, which contributed an insignificant amount of 0.00501 bitcoins, which is about $29.9. This single transaction directly links the KYC account holder to the Incognito administrator. It's a catastrophic mistake that will seal Lin's fate. The FBI only has to force the cryptocurrency exchange to give them access to the account's KYC information. What they discover leaves them speechless. The account belongs to a young Taiwanese man, 23 years old, named Lin Rian. But that's not all. The Namecheap account is also registered under Lin's name, and the personal site is none other than Lin's own online resume. This series of mistakes gives the FBI everything they need to launch a thorough investigation into Lin. Emails, social media accounts, domains, all online activity related to Lin is now under surveillance. Meanwhile, in Taipei, Lin remains unaware of the danger. He continues to operate incognito, unaware that each of his actions is now being watched by the FBI. One morning in July, while Lin is making his coffee, his phone suddenly starts to vibrate. The incognito servers are down. The site is inaccessible. Panicking, Lin rushes to his computer, frantically searching for a solution. But in his hurry, he makes another fatal mistake. He stays logged into his personal Gmail account. What he doesn't know is that the incognito outage isn't due to a bug. The FBI has located and compromised the site's servers. How? By tracing the trail of a server reseller who boasted about providing services to the dark web market. The investigation documents mention that this reseller was foreign, probably from Eastern Europe or Russia. But the servers themselves belong to an unnamed company, probably European, that cooperated with the FBI. Once the investigators had the incognito servers in their hands, they were able to copy all the data from the site. Bitcoin address, information on sellers and buyers, it's all there. But the worst is yet to come for Lin. As he desperately searches for a solution to the breakdown, the FBI is monitoring his Google searches in real time, thanks to the access they obtained to his Gmail account. This live monitoring allows investigators to definitively confirm that Lin is indeed the administrator of Incognito. Each investigation, each attempt to solve the problem, is additional evidence of his guilt. But the final blow comes from an email that Lin completely forgot. While searching through his inbox, investigators come across a message from March 12, 2020. Lin sent himself a diagram detailing how incognito works. This diagram, combined with all the other accumulated evidence, leaves no doubt. Lin Riang is indeed Farion, the administrator of Incognito Market. At this point, the FBI has enough evidence to initiate an arrest operation. But there is a problem. Lin is in Taiwan, a country with which the United States does not have an extradition treaty. Additionally, investigators discovered that Lin has connections with the Taiwanese government. These ties further complicate any attempt to arrest him in Taiwan. They have identified one of the biggest cybercriminals at the moment, but they cannot apprehend him. They decide to continue their surveillance, waiting for the right moment to strike. Meanwhile, Lin finally manages to get Incognito back online. He breathes a sigh of relief, thinking he has avoided the worst. But what he doesn't know is that the FBI already has all the site's data. The weeks that follow are tense for Lin. He feels that something is wrong, but can't quite put his finger on it. He becomes extra cautious, regularly changing his online habits, but it's too late. August 2023 arrives, and with it, a new threat for Lin, one he hadn't anticipated. A group of hackers and fraudsters have noticed his profile on Twitter, where he regularly posts about the general state of cryptocurrencies. Her posts, intended to maintain her cover as just a simple crypto developer, will backfire. The hackers, attracted by her bragging about successful trades and her VIP status on Binance, decide that she is a prime target. They are developing a sophisticated plan, creating a fake company around a project called XA, a meeting software similar to Zoom, but with a real-time translation feature. They are setting up a trap for Lin. Their goal, to get Lin to download a malicious app that will infect his system and drain all of his cryptocurrency accounts. To make their scam credible, they even steal the IDs of Fabric VC employees, a well-known crypto venture capital fund. They then contact Lin, pretending to want to invest in one of his projects. Lin, flattered by this attention and seeing an opportunity to increase his legitimacy in the crypto world, takes the bait. He agrees to a meeting with the supposed investors. What he doesn't know is that this decision will trigger a series of events that will not only disrupt his life, but also disturb the entire dark web ecosystem. As Lin prepares for his meeting with the supposed investors of Fabric VC, he has no idea that this meeting will mark the beginning of the fall of his empire. The countdown has begun. February 8th, 2024, St. Lucia, the Caribbean. The Caribbean sun floods Lin's hotel room. He adjusts his tie in front of the mirror, his hands slightly trembling. In a few minutes, he will meet the team from Fabric VC, one of the largest crypto investment funds in the world. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Officially, Lin is in St. Lucia on behalf of the Taiwanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a routine diplomatic mission, nothing more. But for him, this trip is the perfect opportunity to close a deal that could change his life. His phone vibrates, a message from the Fabric VC team. Download the XA app for real-time translation. Since your English isn't perfect, this will make our communication easier. Lin hesitates for a moment, installing a new app just before such a crucial meeting, but the name Fabric VC is enough to brush away his doubts. He downloads and installs the app without thinking. What he doesn't know is that he's just made the most costly mistake of his life. Thousands of kilometers away, in a dark room, a group of hackers watch the screen with excitement. Their plan worked. The Trojan horse is in place. I can't believe he took the bait so easily. That's what happens when you think you're untouchable. Lin launches the XA app and connects to the meeting. The screen stays black. No sound. Nothing. A technical issue, he thinks, slightly annoyed. He refreshes the app, checks his internet connection. Still nothing. That's when a notification pops up on his phone, then another one, and another. Lin's blood runs cold in his veins. These are alerts from his crypto wallets, outgoing transactions, lots of outgoing transactions. Panicked, he opens his crypto apps one by one. His eyes widen in horror. His accounts are emptying in real time. In a few seconds, over $130,000 in NFTs vanish, then hundreds of thousands in various cryptocurrencies. No, 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 he shouts, frantically hitting his screen as if that could stop the ongoing drama. But it's too late. In less than 5 minutes, almost all of his fortune has evaporated. Lin collapses on the bed, breathless. His mind is racing, trying to understand what just happened. And suddenly, the realization hits him like a punch. He's been hacked. The app saw, the fake meeting, it was all an elaborate trap to access his devices and empty his accounts. For a moment, Lin remains still, paralyzed by shock. Then, slowly, another thought emerges, even more terrifying. What if the hackers access more than just his personal accounts? He rushes to his computer. To his great relief, everything seems normal. The servers are working, transactions are continuing, the market hasn't been compromised. But the relief is short-lived. Lin suddenly realizes the extent of the disaster. A large portion of the stolen funds came from Incognito's profits. Millions of dollars acquired illegally, carefully laundered, and now in the hands of unknown criminals. Oh, how am I going to explain this? He murmurs, his head in his hands. For Lin knows, in the ruthless world of the dark web, such a loss will not go unnoticed. Sellers, buyers, all will want explanations. And if they can't pay back, they shudder, preferring not to think about the consequences. Meanwhile, in their hideout, the hackers are celebrating their successes. They've succeeded beyond their expectations, but their choice is fleeting. These amounts, this is much more than what a mere crypto developer should possess, notes one of them. And have you seen those transaction patterns? It almost looks like money laundering, adds another. They exchange glances. Who is really their victim? What have they just gotten themselves into? In his hotel room, Lin desperately tries to regain control of the situation. He changes all his passwords, deactivates his compromised accounts, deletes the malicious app from his devices. But the damage is done, and Lin knows this is just the beginning of his troubles. He has to juggle between his official diplomatic mission and managing this unprecedented crisis. Every notification on his phone makes him jump. Every email could be the one that announces everything has been discovered. On February 20th, the inevitable happens. On the Dread forum, the first worried messages appear. Vendors complain that their withdrawals are not being processed. Buyers report strange transactions. Lynn, under his pseudonym Pharaoh, tries to calm things down. He posts reassuring messages, promises that everything is under control, that it is just a temporary technical problem. But the rumors are growing. The word exit scam is starting to circulate. Some users are accusing Incognito of having generated fake transaction logs to hide deeper problems. Lynn knows that he is on the brink. If he admits the hack, it's the end of Incognito. Trust, so crucial in this field, will be irreparably broken. How long can he maintain the illusion? It's then that a desperate idea starts to form in his mind. A crazy, dangerous idea, but it might be his only chance to get out of it. On the 25th of February, Lynn posts a message on Dread, "We don't scam, cross our hearts." The statement, far from calming people down, only fuels speculation. What's really going on behind the scenes at Incognito? Meanwhile, in Washington, Agent Rubin and his team watch with fascination the chaos unfolding on the dark web. They have, of course, noticed the strange movements on the accounts linked to Lynn, but they still do not know the true nature of the hack. This might be our chance. If they panic, they might make a mistake, whispers Rubin. On the 1st of March, the situation reaches a point of no return. Hug Bunter, the respected creator of the Dread forum, posts a message stating that Incognito has indeed performed an exit scam. He advises all users to stop depositing money on the site. Lynn is cornered. He knows he can't keep up the charade any longer. That's when he executes a desperate plan. On March 10th, under the username Staying Innovative, Lynn confirms the exit scam on Dread, but he adds a threat that sends chills down the spine of all Incognito users. Do you think you are done with us? We have one last little surprise for you. We have accumulated a list of private messages, transaction info, and details on all orders over the years. If anything leaks to law enforcement, we will publish all the data of 557,000 orders and 862,500 transactions. Whether your information and that of your clients is on this list is entirely up to you. And yes, it's blackmail. This announcement causes an earthquake in the dark web community. Sellers, panicking and fearing for their freedom and lives, start paying the exorbitant amounts demanded by Lynn for the removal of their data. However, Lynn underestimated the reaction of certain dark web actors. Hug Bunter, in particular, does not appreciate this extortion attempt. In a scathing comment, he suggests that he has compromising information on Pharaoh. Lynn, panicking, invites Hug Bunter to discuss privately via Jabber. What he discovers during this conversation chills him to the bone. Hug Bunter managed to trace back to his real identity thanks to a mistake made years ago on Dread. Cornered, Lynn backs down. He publishes one last message claiming that this whole extortion story was just a bad April Fool's joke. But the damage is done. His reputation is in tatters, and the dark web community does not forgive easily. Just when Lynn thinks he has escaped the worst, the trap closes inexorably on him. In the FBI offices, Agent Rubin is preparing the operation that will bring an end to Pharaoh's reign. And this time, they will not let her escape. Time is now running out. Lynn, unaware of the imminent danger, is about to give a seminar on cybercrime prevention in St. Lucia. The irony of the situation will not be lost on those who know the truth. But for Pharaoh, the fallen king of the dark web, the final act of his tragedy is about to unfold. We are still in St. Lucia on the 25th of March, 2024. Dawn is breaking over Castries, the capital of St. Lucia. Lynn, sitting on the terrace of his hotel room, is gazing at the ocean absent-mindedly. In a few hours, he will give a seminar on preventing cybercrime to the local police. If only he knew, he thinks, with a mix of bitterness and amusement. The last few weeks have been a whirlwind of stress and paranoia. Lynn lives in constant fear of being discovered. Every glance, every casual conversation seems full of potential threats. Yet, here in St. Lucia, he feels almost safe. The Paradise Island, with its white sandy beaches and turquoise waters, seems so far removed from the dark world he has been in these past years. It's as if Pharaoh and Incognito belong to another life, a bad dream from which he could wake up. Lynn shakes his head, clearing his thoughts. He has a seminar to prepare for. At exactly 10 o'clock, Lynn enters the conference room at the Central Police Station in Castries. About 20 officials are waiting, their curious eyes fixed on this young man. Lynn takes a deep breath and begins his presentation. As he speaks, he finds himself drawing from his personal experience, disguising his own mistakes as hypothetical examples, turning his techniques into warnings. The officers hang on his every word, unaware that they are listening to the barely concealed confessions of one of the greatest cybercriminals of their time. For the first time in weeks, he feels like he's in control of something. However, thousands of kilometers away, in the FBI offices in Washington, Agent Rubin and his team are buzzing with excitement. They have finally received the green light for the operation they've been planning for months. "We've got it," Rubin announces to his colleagues. "Lin Riang is leaving St. Lucia tomorrow. His flight has a layover in New York. This is our chance." The team is getting ready, coordinating their efforts with JFK airport authorities. The trap is set, now just waiting for the prey. Lin, on his end, finishes his seminar to the enthusiastic applause of the officers. The local police chief warmly congratulates him, even mentioning the possibility of future collaborations. Lin smiles politely, while thinking there probably won't be a next time. That night, lying on his hotel bed, Lin thinks about his future. Part of him is tempted to disappear, to use this stay in St. Lucia to start a new life under a new identity, but he knows it's impossible. His life in Taiwan, his family, his friends, he can't abandon everything. The next morning, Lin packs his bags, feeling lighter than he has in weeks. He leaves the hotel, takes a taxi to Uenora International Airport. Every step goes smoothly. Check-in, security check, boarding. As the plane takes off, Lynn looks out the window as the shores of St. Lucia fade away. He feels like he's leaving behind not just an island, but also his criminal past. The flight is smooth. Lynn dozes off, lulled by the hum of the engines, dreaming of a future where he uses his skills for good, perhaps by working legally in cybersecurity. The nightmare of the past weeks begins to fade, but the wake-up call will be harsh. The plane lands at JFK Airport in New York in the early afternoon. Lynn, still sleepy, follows the flow of passengers to the transit area. He has a few hours to kill before his connecting flight to Taipei. Maybe I could do some shopping, he thinks, observing the duty-free shops. That's when he sees them, 3 men in dark suits, heading straight towards him. Their gait, their attitude, he quickly understood. Lynn's heart skips a beat. Mr. Ryang asks one of the men while showing his Federal Bureau of Investigation badge. Please follow us, if you would be so kind. Lynn's world is collapsing. In a daze, he follows the agents, aware that each step takes him further from freedom. He is taken to a small interrogation room at the airport. Agent Rubin is there with a thick file in front of him. Lin Ryong, he begins. Or should I say, Pharaoh. Lin closes his eyes, defeated. All his mistakes, all his negligence come back to him. The diagram sent to his personal Gmail, using Admin Wallet 1 for personal purchases, his complaints on dread, every little misstep, is woven the web in which he is now caught. We know everything, Lin, continues Rubin, incognito, the transactions, the extortion, everything. For the next few hours, Lin listens, stunned, as Rubin unfolds the thread of the investigation. He realizes the extent of what he has built and what he has lost. You have the right to remain silent, Rubin concludes. Anything you say can be used against you in court. Lin raises his head. Although he wanted to stay unknown, now he is exposed to the eyes of the whole world. In the following days, Lin's arrest makes headlines in newspapers worldwide. The dark web, drug lord, arrested. The fall of Pharaoh, incognito. The empire collapses. Each headline is a stab in Lin's heart, locked in a cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center in New York. His parents in Taipei are devastated. They, who were so proud of their prodigy son, discover with horror the double life he was leading. His friends, his colleagues, all are in shock. How could the kind Lin, always ready to help, be the fearsome Pharaoh? In the world of the dark web, it's chaos. The downfall of incognito and the arrest of its creator are causing shockwaves throughout the ecosystem. Its sellers are disappearing, buyers are seeking new platforms, and the underground drug economy is in complete chaos. He realizes that his story does not end with his arrest. On the contrary, it is only the beginning of a long legal process that will bring to light all the dark corners of the world he has built. A sentence will be pronounced, the victims will be able to move on, and the story of Incognito Market can finally belong to the past. May 20th, 2024, New York, United States. The federal court in Manhattan is buzzing with activity. Journalists, onlookers, and security officers crowd the hallways. Lin, dressed in a dark suit, enters the courtroom escorted by 2 marshals. His face, marked by weeks of detention, briefly meets that of his parents. Seated in the front row, their expression of grief pierces his heart. The judge opens the session. The case of the United States against Lin Ryong is opened. The prosecutor speaks. The man you see is not just a simple developer. He is the architect of one of the largest online drug trafficking networks the world has ever known. For hours, he explains how Incognito Market operates and the millions of dollars in illegal transactions. FBI agent Mark Rubin then testifies in detail about the investigation, followed by cryptocurrency experts and Incognito Market sellers who share their testimonies under protection. Each revelation further implicates Lin, making him realize his mistakes. A particularly poignant moment occurs when the prosecutor calls to the stand the parents of a young woman who died of an overdose. The drug came from Incognito Market. Their testimony breaks Lin. For the first time, he truly sees the real consequences of his actions. On the 5th day, the defense starts speaking. Lin's lawyer tries to present his client as a brilliant young man carried away by his creation, but the trial weighs heavily on Lin. Called to testify, Lin explains how it all started as a technical challenge, before admitting that he lost sight of the consequences of his actions. When he finishes, a weight seems to have been lifted from his shoulders. The closing arguments are powerful. The prosecutor emphasizes the magnitude of the crimes, while the defense pleads for leniency by mentioning Lin's remorse. Finally, after 2 weeks of trial, the jury withdraws to deliberate. The hours stretch on, endless. Lin waits, heart heavy, aware that his future is decided behind the closed doors of the deliberation room. When the jury returns, a heavy silence falls over the room. The jury foreman stands up. In the case of the United States versus Lin Ryang, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty on all charges. Lin closes his eyes. He expected it, of course, but hearing the verdict out loud makes it all terribly real. The judge speaks. Lin Ryang, you have been found guilty of serious crimes. Your intelligence and skills, which could have been used for good, have instead caused incalculable damage. I sentence you to 25 years in federal prison. A murmur goes through the room. 25 years, a quarter of a century. Lin felt the weight of this sentence fall upon him. As he is taken away, Lin casts one last look at his parents. Their tear-stained faces will be the last image he takes from this room. In the days that follow, the Incognito case hits the headlines of newspapers around the world. Investigations discuss the implications of this case for the future of the dark web, the regulation of cryptocurrencies, and the fight against online drug trafficking. But for Lin, locked in his cell in the high-security AGX Florence Federal Prison, these debates seem distant. He looks at the bare walls, realizing that this is where he will spend the next 25 years of his life. Thank you for watching. Click the link in the description for the CyberGhost VPN discount. It protects your data and gives access to blocked content for €2 a month. See you in the next video.